Don't move. You can't see us if we don't move.
All right, today we are digging into the senses of one of the most legendary predators to ever walk the planet. We're going to dismantle a massive pop culture myth and uncover the absolutely terrifying scientific truth about the vision of Tyrannosaurus Rex. Okay, let's start with a scenario we all know from the movies. You're out in the jungle, you see the ripples in a glass of water, and then boom, you are face to face with a T-Rex. What's the one survival tip everyone thinks they know? Don't move. But is that actually a brilliant survival tactic or a fatal mistake? For decades, Jurassic Park has pretty much taught us that the T-Rex's vision is based on movement. If you freeze, you're basically invisible. It's an awesome, thrilling idea. There's just one tiny problem. Modern science says it's completely, totally wrong. So where in the world did this idea even come from? Let's trace it back to the source and figure out why this Hollywood invention got so stuck in our heads. And here it is, plain and simple. The whole concept that a T-Rex couldn't see you if you stood still, it's pure fiction, made up for a movie. There's just no basis for it in the fossil record or in what we know about how predators work. Look, it was a fantastic way to build suspense on screen, but it's not how the real animal operated, not even close. So, if the movie was wrong, what was the reality actually like? Let's put our own vision up against what we now know about the T-Rex. It's time for a little sensory showdown. First up, let's talk depth perception. Our human eyes face forward, which gives us a pretty decent ability to judge how far away things are. But now compare that to the T-Rex. Because of its narrow snout and perfectly placed eyes, it had this massive 55-degree field where both of its eyes could see the same thing. That huge overlap meant the T-Rex could gauge distance with incredible precision, way better than we can. It didn't need you to move an inch to know exactly, and I mean exactly, where you were. It could pinpoint your location while you were just standing there, frozen in fear. Now, what about motion? Well, our brains can only process what we see so fast, right? It's why a 100-mile-an-hour fastball can just look like a blur. A T-Rex, on the other hand, was probably a lot like a modern hawk or eagle. It processed images much, much faster. And it could detect incredibly subtle movements. Not just you running away, but the tiniest shift in your posture, or even just the tension in your muscles. And this is so critical. You are not a rock. Even when you're trying to stand perfectly still, you're still breathing. Your heart is pounding. Your muscles are shaking from adrenaline. A T-Rex's vision would have been perfectly tuned to pick up on those tiny little signals that just scream, living thing. Okay, fine, but what about camouflage? Surely that would work, right? Well, not so fast. We humans have 3 types of color-detecting cells in our eyes, but evidence suggests the T-Rex probably had 4 types, and that opened up a whole new world of color, maybe even letting it see into the ultraviolet part of the spectrum. And the implication of that is just huge. Those greens and browns you'd wear to blend into a forest, they'd be totally useless. A T-Rex would see contrasts and tones that are completely invisible to us. Our best attempts at hiding would be completely worthless. You probably stick out like a sore thumb. Now let's just talk about raw visual power, the sharpness, the clarity. On this chart, we'll set perfect human vision as the baseline. We'll call it a 1. Now, just look where the T-Rex is. Yeah, it's not even a competition. Let's just put a number to it. 13 times. Based on the size of its eyes and optic nerves, scientists figure a T-Rex's vision was up to 13 times sharper than our own. That's on par with the sharpest-eyed eagles flying around today. So what does that number actually mean in the real world? It means a T-Rex could clearly identify you not as some blurry shape, but as you from several kilometers away. Long before you'd ever have a clue it was there, it would have already spotted you and tagged you as a potential meal. Okay, so let's take all of these incredible abilities and put them together. Let's form a complete picture of what it was like to be seen by this absolute apex hunter. So this was the T-Rex's visual toolkit. It had depth perception better than ours, to judge distance perfectly. It had faster processing to track any little movement. It had color vision that could see right through camouflage. And it had almost godlike sharp vision to spot you from miles away. What a devastating combination. And this really cuts to the heart of why that movie myth is just so impossible. I mean, this quote says it all. Just think about it logically for a second. How could a top predator ever survive if its food could just become invisible by stopping? It would starve to death in a week. And that gets to the bigger picture here. Evolution fine-tunes predators to be these ruthlessly efficient machines. It just would not select for such a massive, debilitating weakness in the king of the dinosaurs. It makes no sense. So, let's go back to our scenario one last time. Forget the fiction. This is the terrifying reality of how a T-Rex actually laid its eyes on you. When it looked at you, it wasn't searching for movement. It saw your exact position in 3D space. It wasn't seeing some vague shape. It saw you in high definition. And it wasn't fooled by you blending in. It saw all the distinct colors and contrasts that gave you away. So if there's one thing you take away from this, it's this. Standing still did not hide you. In fact, it did the exact opposite. It made you an easier target. A stationary object is a gift to a predator with elite depth perception and clarity. Standing still didn't make you invisible. It just made you easier to measure up for the kill. The bottom line here is that the movie monster, as scary as it was really just a watered-down version of the real thing. The actual Tyrannosaurus Rex was a far more efficient, more precise, and frankly, a much more dangerous predator than fiction ever dared to dream up. And that's our deep dive. The science is clear, the myth is busted. Which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other movie facts that we all just accept as true are actually nothing but Hollywood fiction?